The Century Media Podcast.
Hi, this is Adam from Warbringer, and welcome to the Century Media Podcast on the record. Our new album is called War Without End, and about early 2006, we were all sitting around in our jam room, and I believe it was me and the singer that were talking mostly about the war themes, and I think it was him that came up with the idea for Bringers of War, and then thus Warbringer. Then after that, kind of made an easy songwriting process to just go on about war and destruction, and he's also a very big World War II fan, so I think he got a kick out of making a lot of lyrical themes on war and stuff. Yeah, and then in early summer 2007, we got hooked up with Bill Matoyer, famous producer of DRI, Death Angel, Slayer, Flotsam and Jetsam. That was really cool for us. As soon as we heard about it, we were just like, yeah. And we got in there, and I think it was about maybe a 2 to 3 month process, and it was right down in Reseda, which is really close for us because we got the chance to go home every night. It was really good. He definitely kicked our asses and made us work overtime and make sure all of our chops were straight and everything sounded really good. And it was also a good experience just to get in the studio for the first time for all of us and get the hang of the whole way things work. In the studio was actually pretty fun. Most of it was if we weren't sitting in the sound room, we were in the other rooms playing video games or watching porn, whatever was lying around the house. And other than that, it was really hot, so it kind of sucked because I'm not used to being up early in the daytime in the heat and everything. I kind of like to record in colder temperatures at night, but we worked with what we had. A lot of the songs off the album actually were about a few of them were off the old EPs. Some were older songs that I had actually played with them before on drums. And then we had about like 4 songs that were written since I'd been in the band. So some of the stuff was like been played for a few years, and then some of the stuff was still kind of new to us. So it was interesting to get in there and kind of realize what we needed to finesse on certain songs and kind of do small little fixes before we actually record the thing. Yeah, and the whole time in the studio we were trying to make sure we kept our chops up as strong as possible just so our songs wouldn't falter as to how we heard them in our jam room, because we would have our own sound in there, and of course we think we're fine, and then we get in the studio and we realize, shit, I haven't heard the guitar players lick on this part the whole time and I'm playing this part wrong. And Bill was there to just kind of get us into shape and get us all to collaborate on little things, little subtleties in our songs, and it worked out really good. I'm satisfied with the album. I think it's a lot of war going on. People always ask us too if it's like a concept album, if it's just like a straight war themed album, and like makes me think to like a lot of the songwriting. A lot of it was usually done to where we'd have lyrical ideas based off of like instruments of torture. When I first heard the name of the song, I was thinking like our musical instruments are going to be torturing people, but it's actually pretty much about instruments of torture, Iron Maiden, guillotine, and all that fun stuff, and just slaughtering people. And like I think there's some historical things in there about actual instruments of torture, but that would be all stuff that the singer threw in. Like we have some songs circling Satan and death, and like a lot of the main war songs, like even Combat Shock, the video track, was pretty much named after this really cool movie that me and the drummer saw a while back, where it's just this pretty gnarly war movie, Combat Shock. I check it out. And the artwork on the album I was really satisfied with. That was done by Desmond, who I actually just met recently because he lives up in New York and he came to our show, and he's a totally cool dude. I think he was telling me that it was probably one of the most freedom he had doing an album cover in a few years, so that was really good to hear. The art speaks for itself, in my opinion. It's all just explosive war and torture. And as far as producers, I think Bill did a really good job, and especially after being sort of in the zone with him for a long period of time and watching him control the board and just getting to know how Pro Tools works. I'm sure I'd like to work with him again in the future, and hopefully it'll be a much easier process for all of us to just kind of get in there, be kind of strict on ourselves and do our thing, and hopefully record an even better second album.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Adam, for joining us for this month's edition of On the Record. Right now, let's play some Warbringer for you. Here's the track Combat Shock from the new record entitled War Without End. It's Warbringer right here on the Century Media Podcast.
Hi, this is Adam from Warbringer, and you're listening to the Century Media Podcast.